Our gospel lesson comes from the 5th chapter of the gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up to the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he began to speak, and he taught them, saying, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." The gospel of the Lord.
It's about 8 o'clock in the evening, and you wander into the kitchen, make your way to the pantry, open the door, turn the light on, and begin to stare at the food on the shelves. Your mother finally says, "What are you looking for?" And you respond, "I don't know. I'm hungry, but I don't know what I'm hungry for." That's happened to each and every one of us. But the hunger that we're talking about today is not a physical hunger. It is a spiritual hunger inside every one of us. We know that we want something, but we're really not sure what we really want. And there's a difference between those. A friend of mine travels for a living. He was getting ready to fly from Atlanta to Los Angeles. He got onto the airplane. He went through his regular ritual, found his seat, got in, introduced himself to the person sitting next to him, and began to buckle his seatbelt. Immediately, the man next to him pressed the flight attendant button. The flight attendant came by a few moments later, asked, "May I help you?" He said, "Yes, I just wanted to let you know I ordered a special meal on this flight." It was in the days when you actually were provided a meal when you flew someplace. She said, "Yes, sir, I've got it right here. 13A, you get a special meal. I've got it right here." I just wanted to make sure. He seemed satisfied, and the plane took off. No sooner had they hit cruising altitude, he pressed the flight attendant button again. She came by, "Yes, sir, can I help you? I just wanted to make sure that when you serve the meal, I'm one that's getting a special meal." "Yes, sir, I've got it right here. But first, we're going to be serving refreshments, drinks and snacks. Then we'll serve the meal." They came by, you know how it is, Coca-Colas, pretzels, peanuts. They were collecting the trash. He pressed the flight attendant button again. The flight attendant dutifully came by. "Yes, sir, can I help you? I just wanted to ask about that special meal. Didn't want you to forget about it." "Yes, sir, we're going to be serving very soon. In fact, I'm going to bring yours first." She brought him the tray, and he lifted up. Of course, my friend wants to see this special meal and looks over at it. And there it is, a boneless breast of chicken, a bed of lettuce with cottage cheese, some crackers and fruit. And my friend thinks, okay, he's diabetic or he's on a low-fat diet or a low-salt diet or something. I get it. Then they brought my friend his meal. He lifted the lid on it. Boneless breast of baked chicken, bed of lettuce with cottage cheese, some crackers and fruit. The man next to him looked and saw it and said, "Did you order a special meal?" "I didn't order a special meal." And they looked around, and other people were getting it as well. The man aggressively pressed the flight attendant button. The flight attendant came by. "Yes, sir, is there a problem?" "Is there a problem?" "Yes, there's a problem. I ordered a special meal." "Sir, I've got it right here. You called ahead. You ordered a boneless breast of baked chicken, bed of lettuce with cottage cheese, some crackers and fruit. That's what we brought you." "Yeah, but look at all these people. They're getting the same thing." "Sir, that's just what we're serving today." The man swore at her and said, "I will never fly this airline ever again." Now, what did he want? He wanted a special meal, but what did he really want? He wanted to be treated as special. He wanted to be thought of as unique and different. There are things that we want in life, and then there are things that we really want. And Jesus wants us to know what we really want, what we hunger, what we crave in our lives is a relationship with the living God. That is what is at the deepest root of our thirst and our hunger. And Jesus said to his disciples, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled." Now, in my study this week of that beatitude, I discovered that theologians believe that this is more of a question than it is a statement. And the question is, how much goodness do you want in your life? Or another way, how much of God do you want in your life? You see, there's something very unique about Matthew's phrasing here. Normally, when you're talking about hunger and thirst, there is a word that follows it, bread or water, and it's always in the genitive case. But here, Matthew uses the accusatory tense. What he is doing in the genitive, it means something to the effect of, I would like a cup of water. I would like a sip of water. Or I would like a piece of bread. I would like a slice of bread. That's the genitive case. But the accusative case is more direct, and it is, I want the whole loaf. I want the whole pitcher of water. And so the beatitude more correctly is understood as, I don't want just a part of God. I want all of God. And I want all of God's goodness in me. That's what Jesus is teaching his disciples. When you want all of God, when you want all of God's goodness, God will fill you with it. And maybe that's why you're here today. You are craving, you are thirsting for, you are hungry for God, the fullness of God. You are hungering and thirsting for the goodness of God. And you've come here because you believe this is a place where you can find it. In the beautiful music that we hear, in the scriptures that are read, in the prayers that are prayed, in the fellowship that we enjoy. You believe that you can find it here. Don't ever take this for granted. Now, what is true for us here in this place is also true for those out in the world. Everybody is craving God. What they want, what they really want, is God. And not just a piece of God. They want the fullness of God and God's goodness. They may not know what they're hungering for. They may not know what they're thirsting for, but that's it. I love the words of the song by one of my favorite songwriters. I've climbed highest mountain. I've run through the fields only to be with you. I've run, I've crawled, I've scaled these city walls only to be with you. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. That's the anthem for people of our day and time. They run through the fields, they look here and there. They crawl on all fours, looking for it in low places. And they even scale the walls, looking in high places for that which will satisfy their soul, what they're hungering and thirsting for. But they can also testify, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Earlier this week, I was in Kansas City for a conference, and the keynote speaker was David Brooks, who is a political writer for the New York Times. And David Brooks reminded us that in America, we have generally been driven by a magnetic idea. In the 1800s, the magnetic idea was given to America by the church. The church called America a city set up on a hill, the New Israel, a place where people could worship God freely and make God's name known to all. And so people flocked to America, finding that vision to be compelling for their lives. In the 1800s, the vision changed. The compelling vision that brought people together in America was manifest destiny. That God has ordained the United States of America to be a great nation, to increase its land, to increase its power, and to influence the world for good. It's your destiny. In the 20th century, it changed again, and certainly we saw it in the last half of the 20th century. The magnetic, compelling vision was the freedom of self. We became enthralled with our own individuality, and we sought to express that individuality in so many different ways. And now we're in the 21st century, and we are in need of a new, compelling, magnetic vision. And Brooks suggested this past week that there are two out there that are competing with each other, both compelling for different segments of the population. One is tribe, and it's focused on safety and security and America first. And the other one is social justice, and it's focused upon righting the wrongs in the world. And both of those are competing with each other. And Brooks suggested that maybe there is another way that is needed, a more compelling vision that bridges those two and brings us together as a people. And he even had a suggestion. Love the Lord your God with all your mind, your heart, your soul, your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. For Brooks was telling us that America is experiencing a crisis, and it's a crisis of spirituality. And we need the church to step up and offer that compelling vision of love God and love neighbor and bridge together. I found that inspiring this week. And I began to wonder to myself as I was coming home, just who is our neighbor that we're supposed to love? And I began to think about our neighbors here at Peachtree Road. If you were to take just a 2-mile radius of our church, and that 2-mile radius, you might go down towards Peachtree Battle. You might go a little further than the governor's mansion. You might go as far out as Lynbrook and Canterbury Court. You might go as far as Piedmont gets to I-85. That's about a 2-mile radius of the church. And within that radius, we are told that 85,000 people reside. And over the next 20 years, that population will increase by 50%. And who are the people that live in our neighborhood? Who are our neighbors? We're told that 49% of the people in our neighborhood are white, which means the majority, 51%, are people of color in our neighborhood. We're told that 4% of the people, at least, who are in our neighborhood are part of the gay community. We are told that 10% of the people who live in our neighborhood are over the age of 60, and many of them are beginning to struggle with mobility issues. And we are told that 45% of the people living in our neighborhood are millennials. Who are our neighbors? I've got a theory. I don't have any data to back this up. It's something that I have come to, that I have observed. In the 60s and in the 70s, people moved from downtown Atlanta out to the suburbs. And the people on Sunday morning continued to drive from the suburbs downtown to their church home. And so the church really didn't notice the population shift. The pews were still full. People were still giving. They noticed no change. But we in the Methodist Church looked around and saw how full the suburbs were becoming, and we decided to invest in new churches. And we started to build churches in the suburbs, and people thought to themselves, my goodness, I don't have to drive all the way downtown. There's a really good church down the street. And overnight, our downtown churches emptied out and were in crisis. They had neglected to connect with their neighborhood. It happened once. It can happen again. So it's important for us here at Peachtree Road to connect with our neighbors, to know who our neighbors are, and to connect with them. They are hungering and thirsting for Christ, the Christ that we worship and serve, for us to share Christ with them. So here's what I'm going to do this morning. I'm going to issue an invitation. I want to put together 4 different groups of people who are focused on different segments of our neighborhood. I'm looking for some people who would like to be a part of an emphasis to reach out to people of color and to help them to discover home here at Peachtree Road. Nearly 60 years ago, Dr. Martin Luther King described 11 o'clock on Sunday morning as the most segregated hour of the week. And 60 years later, it continues to be true. But there are more people of color than there are white people in our community. Can a group of people help us figure out, how do you reach out, invite, welcome, and connect with people of color? Can another group reach out to the gay community and invite, welcome, and connect, and help them to discover Christ in their lives here at Peachtree Road as well? Can another group of people reach out to senior adults who are experiencing mobility issues? These issues prevent them from being able to come and worship with us and serve with us. Can a group of people figure out how to remove the barriers and help people find connection here? Can a 4th group of people envision ways to invite, welcome, and connect with millennials and help them to discover Christ here at Peachtree Road? I'm looking for people who are willing to say, that's my passion. I really want to see my grandchildren here at church. I really want to make this church reflect the diversity of the community in which we live. I want us to reflect the kingdom of God and the way that God has planted us to be. There may be people who have said, my passion is that while we say everybody's welcome and we say God loves everybody, I want to show it. I want to live my life in such a way that it shows it. What I'd love for you to do this morning is take out one of those prayer cards that's in your pew, write your name on it, and write the name of the group that you would like to help us reach out to. I kind of mean do it now. If you're interested in that, I'd like to know it. Because what I'd like over the next 6 months is to identify a group of people that would begin to meet monthly in their group and offer suggestions to our administrative board and our staff that we can implement, that we can make progress in connecting with our neighborhood. And if you feel called to one of those 4 groups, I'd like to know it. Write that down. You'll have an opportunity to turn it in at the end of the service. I've got one more story. When I was a little boy, hide and go seek was one of the best games to play. And my house was a great place to play it. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, and everything was great till my brother and sister were born. And then when they were born, we were out of room, and so my parents took the attic and created a new bedroom. You know how you do that. You put a floor down, you put some walls up, you put a window unit for air conditioning, and you call it a bedroom. But that bedroom had great places to hide. And my best hiding place was in the closet. Off of the closet, behind the clothes, there was a secret compartment that went into the crawl space of the attic. Nobody knew it was there. I remember my friend, my next door neighbor, was over at the house. He was going to seek and we were going to hide. And I took off to my space. I opened the closet door, closed it behind me, moved the clothes out of the way, opened the secret compartment, pulled the clothes back in place, pulled the secret compartment door, and I just knelt there thinking to myself, he'll never find me. And I can hear him counting to this day. 97, 98, 99, 100, ready or not, here I come. I heard Bill run up the steps. He's in his bedroom. And he comes running up the steps, and I'm just giggling to myself, he'll never find me. He said, I bet he's under the bed. He looks, nope, not there. He's in the closet. He opens the door, he looks in, nope, he's not in the closet. And that's when it dawned on me, he would never find me. He was on his way downstairs when I made a noise. On the floor, but it was on the ceiling downstairs. He heard it. He looked up, Bill is upstairs. He came running up the steps, made a noise on the wall. He opened the closet door. He pushed the clothes aside. He saw the secret compartment. He opened it. He looked in. Oh, there you are. You're it. Now, what did I want? I wanted to hide and win the game. But what did I really want? I wanted to be found. And that's what every person in our neighborhood wants, is to be found by God. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for the fullness of God, for all of God, for they shall be filled. Amen.